What's going on? What's going on? Hope y'all enjoying your weekend, your Saturday morning. Everybody's safe, staying blessed. But like I like to say, stay out the way, handle your BI. So we used to call it handle your business. But to you spiritual folks, happy Sabbath. And don't take that the literal way. Don't hold me to it like I gotta speak a certain way or a certain dialect. But I do observe. So peace, peace. But I'm gonna get right to it. You see the title. What's really going on? You see the image on the thumbnail. What's really going on? The Shedeur Sanders. And I want to start off by saying I'm gonna speak on it from a different perspective, not just about sports, not just about Shedeur. Yeah, not just about Shedeur, but of course I'm gonna speak a little bit about that. But I'd rather speak on it from a perspective of like basically the dynamic, the politics here in America, period. I can only speak from the, perspective of here in America. I've never been outside of America. But like I said, I'm gonna speak on it in a much broader sense, not just in sports, but just in a larger dynamic of what's going on here in America. What's really going on. You see the situation with the young brother Shedeur Sanders, son of Prime Deion Sanders. He in the draft, and it's sparking a lot of people to speak on the topic of like why he didn't get drafted yet, why he didn't get drafted in the first round, why he didn't get drafted in the second round, why is this man still undrafted? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if this music is too loud, but you should let me know. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like he ain't get drafted yet, and it's got a lot of people. You got it on both sides of the fence. You know what I mean? On both sides of the spectrum, you got people hating, you know, celebrating this shit. You know what I mean? Glorifying this shit that he ain't get drafted yet, and then you got people that yeah, it's causing an uproar. He's all over the social media with this. Like he wasn't already, They movement has been all over social media. Which some would say this is the reason why he, a lot of teams are neglecting him, backing off of him. Because it's like, oh, we don't want you to have that program that you know what I mean? We want you to join our program. You want you to get with our program. We don't like all that, the cameras and all that. And you know what I'm saying? Like I would say, in a way they correct. in the way they correct. And also I can come from the perspective in the way they real wrong. You know, they wrong as hell on that. So let me just say this. They say the NFL is merit based, right? You know, your skills, you know, your talent. Show and prove, you know, you put in the work. They say if you could play, you know, you get a shot, right? You get a shot. That's how it should be anyway. So explain to me why Shedeur, you know, one of the most talented, he showed that he's poised, one of the most poised quarterbacks, QBs in the draft, in this draft class, period. Is still waiting to hear his name called. That's pretty wild. Like, let's be clear, this young man has done everything the right way. You know, he ain't got no record, you know. They trying to label him a thug. He ain't no thug or none of that. You know what I'm saying? It's like what's really going on. They don't. What's really going on is they don't like that you come with your own narrative, your own program. You get what I'm saying? But before I get into that, that's why I say like I'm speaking on it from bigger than just Shedeur, bigger than just sports or what have you. So let me just continue speaking about Shedeur a little bit before I get into the main reason why I'm going live speaking on this topic. So he dominated at Jackson State, you know, under the tutelage, under the coaching of his father. Played with his brothers, you know, even Travis, you know what I mean? Travis Hunter, you know, and all the other brothers on that squad, you know, they all dominated, you know, under the brightest microscope, basically. You know, they was on ESPN and all that. Then he transferred. Then you know what I mean. They moved their talents to Colorado. You know, on the stage in Colorado, and still showed the same poise. You know, if not more. You know, improve. That's a big thing in my book. I like people to, you know, not just talk about winning, you know, but the process of which is more rewarding, meaning the improvement. You know what I mean? The different traits that come with winning. Like winning ain't everything, but the traits that you possess that show your improvement. Like we wake up trying to improve every day. You know, you should wake up wanting to improve every day. I believe that should be everybody's goal. A winning mind state, to me, that's mediocre. But anyway, you know, he shows all the things that, you know, these scouts be looking for: the poise, accuracy, the talent, the leadership, and more. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he brings his own program. He brings his own narrative, his own movement. You know, he's saying legendary, and he mean that, legendary, and it is. He's got the Sanders name, his father's last name. You know what I mean? It's bigger than just him. You know what I'm saying? It's legendary. That's their family. That's their legacy. So you see, Shedeur is confident, and why shouldn't he be? You know, can you blame him? No, nobody should be threatened by his confidence. you know. But of course, we all know who is. Like I said, I'm going to get into that. Confidence is the currency of greatness. You know what I'm saying? They say yet somehow, you know, as you can see in this young, you know what I mean, this young black man, Shedeur, he a quarterback with swagger, and it should be nothing wrong with that. Like that's what a leader, but they're trying to frame it as arrogance. You know what I'm saying? But it's confidence. They always mistake our confidence for arrogance. You know what I'm saying? They always dub our confidence for arrogance, and that's in any arena. That's in any arena you could think of, from the biggest to the from the biggest to the smallest. You know what I'm saying? Like meaning from the fame to, you know, your everyday hard worker that you know, blue collar, you know, construction worker, what have you. They you know, your confidence gets taken for arrogance around them. And then they, you know, trying to tag this, it's a maturity issue. Like they literally have other, you know, of course they've had issues with plenty of other players. I'm talking even non-black, you know, that been in and out of the, you know, legal situations, and, you know, be drinking, you know, on drugs, all that. So it's like, miss me with that, you know what I'm saying? We know what this is. We've seen it before. You know, you see, we've seen this with Lamar Jackson, with Cam. We've seen this with Cam Newton. Talented black QBs being nitpicked, being picked on, held to impossible standards. And it ain't even standards that they hold their own up to. You know what I'm saying? Now, I ain't even gonna say they're impossible. Let me scratch that. I would just say it's standards that they're not held up to. Like they, you know, when people say be humble, what they're meaning is, hey, turn that down so you can make me comfortable. And you know who I'm talking about when I say that. You know, them folks really can't stand when you confident. You know, like I said, they look at it like the volume is high. They look at it like you're arrogant. And they'll punish you for not fitting into their, you know what I mean, their idea of being humble. They want you to be grateful and quiet. That's their idea of humble. Their idea of humble is being grateful and quiet. They'll mistake confidence, you know, they'll often mistake confidence for arrogance. And let's not pretend that Sanders' name don't play a part in this, you know. Of course, this is I believe it's a shot at, you know, that you know, their legacy. That's what I believe it is. Just like even with Shiloh not, you know, going forth in the draft and everything, like, which it ain't like they don't have other talents anyway. Like they don't just play football. This is bigger than football. This is bigger than just Shedeur. That they scared of what he represents, man. They scared of what Shedeur represents. You know, he's got his own platform, you know, his own brand, his own voice. He not just a player, he a movement. You know, he got a movement going on. And like I said, it's even bigger than him. It's they Sanders' name. It's a legacy. And it's been known. It's been known for a long time. I mean, they show you it even in the story of that Blindside movie. That Blindside movie. That's what comes to mind when I think it is. This part that I'm about to say. They don't really like the story of a well-to-do family, a black family anyway. Like everything is stable. The father's in the home. Like you ain't coming from the project narrative. The poverty narrative. Yeah, of course you've seen people get drafted like that. You know what I'm saying? But how often do you see, the everything is laid out the way this story is going? Like, you know what I mean? The father is a Hall of Famer, if not one of the greatest one of the greatest NFL players, not just Hall of Fame or today little standards. It's like one of the greatest NFL players you've ever known to play the game. It's kind of like when we play our little paper bag games of shooting the ball into the trash and we yell Kobe. He's like that, like AI or you know what I mean? Deion is like that. Like we was on the field playing Killer Man or what have you, and we doing the Deion step, we doing the Deion dance. We yelling Deion, it's kind of like Randy Moss. It'd be like you just got mossed, like it's just bigger than all that. So that like I said, when it comes to this whole shot at him, they rather draft someone that's they consider quote safe. You know what I'm saying? Someone they can mold, control, and silence, and bet on a young man. You know what I mean? Bet on a young man that what I mean. That don't have his own lane. Like they want to mold you. They want to fit you into their slot, into their box. I was just talking about this the other day. I hate when somebody puts you in a box, put me in a box or what have you. Yeah, I can't stand that. And oddly, unfortunately enough, here in the society, that's basically what a lot of this is. Assimilating. If you don't simulate, you get labeled. You know what I mean? You get blackballed. You know what I mean? You get blackballed and you get pushed out the room. Like, you probably won't even get your foot in the door. That's what often happens. As you can see, Shador don't need their validation. His story just isn't about football. That's what I'm saying. I'm speaking on it from that standpoint. This ain't even just about football. This ain't even just about Shador. Like how many of us have been in situations where your resume, your talents and skills, supersede even the position that you're applying for. But in order for you to get your foot in the door, you're willing to, shall they say, humble yourself and start from the ground up. You know what I mean? Work from the bottom to the top. Get to get to the top, to get to the next level. I can attest. I'm pretty sure all of us have. We don't have no problem putting in the work. But one thing, when I say that, I say that one thing that a lot of us would say we're not going to compromise, we're not going to do is dumb ourselves down in order to do that. Like, you know what you bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? Even the organization or what have you that you're applying for, the job that you're applying for, they know what you bring to the table, and they value these traits. Matter of fact, you'll be an anomaly. They value these traits. These skills. Your resume is impeccable. You know what I mean? Spotless, like it's shining on them, and they're like, oh, they they'll get threatened by something that ain't got shit to do with the job, ain't got shit to do with the position, and instead they'll choose Chad, or you know what I mean. They'll choose one of them that you know he basically sit on his hands. His skills might not be nowhere near yours, but they'll choose him over you because they're threatened by how you move. You know what I mean? How you move and how you carry yourself. And they'll often, throw these little misnomers, these labels on you saying you a thug, you this, you know what I mean? And these is all the narratives that are often thrown, like I said, from the biggest to the smallest arenas, not just, we ain't just talking about sports. You know what I'm saying? And we ain't talking about just celebs or fame. Nah, this happens to everyday hard workers, everyday blue collar people, you know, in regular jobs, where you get overlooked, you know, you put in the work, and you get overlooked, and they'll choose somebody else. They'll make you, you won't even be a bench warmer. You won't even be, third choice or what have you. It ain't even like the draft in real life. You see what I'm saying? It's nowhere near like that. So, like I said, like, this is common, this narrative of, this is common, this narrative of being overlooked and them trying to humble you, them telling you be humble. Like your presence, your whole get down is too loud for them, so to speak. It's making them uncomfortable. Like, let's be honest, Deion always made them folks uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Most definitely. Deion Sanders always made them folks uncomfortable. One thing that everybody can, agree on is that and you can see them being uncomfortable, but at the same time, one thing they can't deny, like I said, is that he's great. He brings greatness. He brings greatness. He brings, you know what I'm saying, discipline. He brings traits of a leader, a stable, you know what I mean, a stable man, a black man that handles his business, raises up. You know what I mean? Like, but they're uncomfortable of how Deion gets down. You get what I'm saying? They've always been uncomfortable of Deion's flashiness and all that. They can't stand shit like that. You can see that in other players, throughout other sports, like boom, AI. They had a problem with Allen Iverson. I come from all these eras, and you can see it in all these players. They had a problem with Randy Moss. He didn't conform either. None of them conformed. All the ones that I'm gonna speak on, none of them conformed. And when you don't conform, but you great, they kind of stuck. You know what I mean? They kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place with you. So here it is. They got a opportunity to take a shot at Deion that they've always wanted to take. They've always wanted to take this shot at him, but they couldn't. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't. And if you know anything about them folks, yeah, they definitely go after your young, after your youth, your offspring, most definitely. Yeah, they definitely go after your, you know what I mean? Your sons, your daughters, they'll go after them. All in the name of wanting to destroy your legacy. You see what's happening with Bronny. You see what's happening with LeBron and Bronny. Like for years they've been trying to go at LeBron. So they finally got the opportunity to go at LeBron through Bronny. So this is what this is. That's what it seems like. This is the opportunity to finally go at Deion, and they couldn't go at Deion directly. So boom, they're gonna go through him, get to him through his son. It's foul. It's super foul. But once again, boom, like I was saying, as far as this happening throughout all arenas, in any arena you can think of, as far as the industries, as far as jobs, you can have the qualifications, you could be overqualified, and you'll be overlooked simply because it's something they don't like about you. And yeah, people like to say, I even see people on Twitter, I mean X, talking about some black people are playing the race card and they've drafted black players. Like I said, it ain't got shit to do with that though. Like we're talking about the bigger dynamic. Like how I would look at this is all the more evident. This is exposing the reason why we shouldn't even be aligned up with these organizations, these brands anyway. You wouldn't have to worry about trying to fit in their standards or their box at all. Like imagine that. Like we take our talents elsewhere, and then they gotta come. They gotta come get down with us. Kind of like how the Negro League did. They didn't want us to play in MLB, so we created the Negro League. Matter of fact, the Negro League was there before them. You know, and it didn't pop until we played with it, until we got in there. That's how I think we should do that in every industry, man. It's like do our get down, get our shit cracking, and then, hey, if they want to rock with us, you got to come correct. If they want to rock with us, you got to come correct. I know that's one of the main things, like as far as once we get reparations, once we get our due, get our just due, a debt owed, once we get that, that's one of the biggest things we should do as a community is get our organizations cracking like fuck they NFL, fuck they MLB, fuck they NBA, then start our own thing and watch how you remove yourself from their arena, from their stage or their standards that they want to fit you in. You remove yourself from it. Ah man, it's gonna make them get some act right. It's gonna make them come correct. You gotta make them come correct. It ain't about trying to conform and ask them or beg or none of that shit. We got to make them get some act right. Make them come correct towards us. We the jewel. We the dollar. We the jewel. We the dollar. We the talent. You know what I mean? We make this shit move. We make this shit pop. We should not be on no, oh man, you know what I mean? Like that's the first thing I thought when I seen this. I'm like, man, and I know Deion is in his ear. I know all them. He raises them up that way. I can tell. Like even if Deion was never Deion, he would have been just a regular black dude with hold a job for years and all that, stable man as a regular black man, and he still instill those same traits in his kids. Like you don't got to be famous to have them traits. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to be famous to uh, push that trait, them traits, them them characteristics, them jewels. Of course not. That's how you know where he come from. That shit is genuine. God fearing. You know what I mean? He's instilling strong traits and building strong black men. And I know he's telling them, keep your head up. Don't worry, we got it. We got this. And even if it don't, and even if it don't come, don't worry. We keep our head up. We keep our chin up. We good. You see what I'm saying? And with that said, you ain't gonna be defeated or or disappointed or what have you. One thing I like to express is that I recently been talking about the difference between winning and improving. The difference between a person that's a winner and an improver. The difference between a person that's all about winning and a person that's all about improvement. It's like, which one would you rather be? All about winning or improving? Me, I choose improving. Because improving, I could win all day. But that ain't my goal. The winner, the winner has no, I want to say, no boundaries. You know what I'm saying? There's no limitations. This person has no structure. Know what he won't do, what he will do, if that makes sense. Anything goes with a winner. A person that's only uh, driven off of winning. Anything goes. No holds barred. That means everything under that umbrella will be. It could be good or bad. And 9 times out of 10, it's often bad. It's lawless. It don't come with no kind of strategy, no kind of structure. If anything, the strategy is by any means necessary. The strategy is by any means necessary. And that's dangerous. A person that is driven off of just winning, yeah, that's a dangerous person. Think about that. Which one would you rather be, a winner or considered a person that's driven off improving every day, improving everything that you do, improving, bettering yourself, you know, seeing what you done wrong and work hard. Like who comes to mind, just throwing out a name, Kobe. Kobe wasn't even worrying about winning. Winning is a plus. That's the reward of your hard work. If it don't come, but you're rewarded by your hard work. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's just a plus. That's like a side dish to a person that's actually a winner and they've driven off of improvement. But a person that's just driven off of winning, anything goes. That means they'll pull a damn, you know what I mean? They'll pull a scheme, and they scheme and scam and cheat and, rob, and if that makes sense. If you understand what I'm saying. But anyway, I'm going to end this live, and I'm going to speak on it again later. But like I said, this is bigger than just Shador. We can all reflect on this, what's going on what's really going on with the young brother. I know he's going to stay blessed. His father is teaching him to keep his head up and stay strong no matter what happens. And, it's all praise to the Most High in any situation. That's what he's teaching. He raised them up to understand that. He instilled that in the whole upbringing. So that's definitely, with that said, we can't lose. See what I'm saying? We can't lose. Don't nobody even worry about the term win. You can't lose. It ain't even about winning or losing. We already, You know what I mean? We already blessed. But anyway, you stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace, peace.